Whoa!
All right. Do we have any fireworks today? Well, maybe they won't work on my tablet. I don't know, but hey, welcome back to the Odd Couple in Costa Rica. Man, have we got a sweet one for you today. I am so excited. And you know what? Today we're going to be talking about, is it possible? I mean, can you really get some super phenomenal deals buying property in Costa Rica? Hey, but before I get into all of that good stuff, hey, if this is your first time here, well, I'm Alan Richard from Off the Grid Homestead in Costa Rica, where Rebecca and I, we've been in Costa Rica for 10 years, having a ball, traveled all over. We definitely can tell you more about Costa Rica than most people. And hey, that awesome dude over there on the other side, that's my co-host,
Michael Allen, TravelCostaRicaNow.com. Although we are together right now, we have separate channels. So if you want to support us, you can go to TravelCostaRicaNow.com or Travel Costa Rica Now, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you go over to his channel as well. But this we do together, and we like it.
That's right. So, hey, you know, as we're letting folks come in and get settled in, hey, grab your coffee because, as Michael says, I think today's one of those big cup days. And we got lots of great stuff for you. So, hey, before we get rock and rolling, hey, Mike, tell me, what did you do this week?
Well, I put up a video. I got my testosterone replacement therapy first shot about a week ago. So I've just been laying on my bed, letting that settle in my ass, getting it all circulated through my body all week. I kind of chilled, did a lot of self-reflection, I know you don't do that, but I was doing self-reflection, chilling, taking life easy, breathing, taking a breath. So really, to answer your question, I didn't do a damn thing.
Nothing.
No, just let my TRT settle in my ass. What did you do? Anything exciting?
Well, as you can see, man, I'm just like Speedy Gonzalez this week. As you can see, man, I got done with the house. I got in the ceiling fans, man. I got the walls painted, and man, the house is finally done.
Congratulations. Long time coming. A
long time coming. And I even moved it to a better view, you know. So I moved the house to the mountains of Dominical. So I'm at a beautiful place. And look, having a lot of fun. But hey, let me show you exactly what we did.
Wait a minute. Wait.
He's pulling back. He's on a run. Yo! Get him, baby.
I don't know if I got it or not.
Point that camera toward him.
I can't see with the glare. I have no idea what I'm filming, really.
I know it's got such a glare on that scratched up lens, but you just point.
I'm pointing the best I can.
Just point that way and hope you get him.
Wow. You know, I've been preparing for this live stream all week, and you're out fishing.
That's right.
What is that?
We caught an ice chest full of mahi. All of them were right at 3 foot long. Matter of fact, some of those mahi. I mean, the tails were sticking out of the ice chest. They were so big. But we caught 8 humongous mahi. I got an ice chest full of meat, man. And look, we grilled some up last night. Talk about good.
Shout out to Rob and Lara.
Yeah, shout out to Rob and Lara. You remember Rob and Lara? They was at 2 events ago. So, hey,
they went to the relocation retreat. The relocation retreat, right? Yeah,
they came to the last relocation thing. Well, not the last one, but 2 ago, and they came back to visit again. They're doing exactly what they learned about in the relocation retreat, checking out different places. But hey, we met up with them, had supper, went fishing together, had a blast, dude.
Tell everybody where you went fishing. Tell everybody where you went fishing because they're already asking.
Yeah, we went fishing over at Dominicalito. So there's a little place beside Dominical Beach, not far, 10 minutes away from Dominical Beach. We got us a boat, went out there, and man, did we have a blast fishing.
How long were you out there?
They picked us up here at this place at 5:30. We got out there probably around 6:15, and heck, we fished until about noon, and we just had a blast. And then we came back. Heck, we was back over at our little Airbnb by 2 o'clock.
Were there a lot of boats out there? A lot of people fishing?
We were practically the only boat on the water. I mean, we saw a couple of boats that were, way off in the distance, but where we were fishing, we were practically the only boat on the water. I mean, we saw some really beautiful turtles out there on the water. We were at this perfect little hot spot, and we just had all kind of fun.
I think if I could access fish, not tilapia, not their that tilapia stuff, but if I could access fresh, like catch it myself like you did, I could probably do a lot of eating of fish throughout the year, like 3-4 times a week probably.
Oh, well, look, I know we eat a lot of fish. And now that I found this guy, I'm gonna keep my freezer full of fish.
You know what? I like other people's boats. So if you could buy a boat, I would come down and go fishing with you and maybe help pay for gas. Because I'm like
Rebecca, you're going to have to talk to Michael. He's got another harebrained idea. He wants us to buy a boat, take him fishing, and he might even put in a few bucks for gas.
Well, that's fair. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I might even let you keep a fish or two.
What do they say? Ass, cash, or grass? Something like that. Anyway, I think you should buy a boat so we could go fishing so I could stock a freezer full of fish and have it all year.
Hey, folks, you let me know. You put in the comment below, do you think I should buy a boat so that I could take Michael fishing? I really want to know. Should we charge Michael something to go fishing? Or should I just let him go fishing and take all the fish because he's my buddy?
You know what? When it comes to boats and pools, I like everybody else's pools and boats. I think everyone said, what do they say? The 2 best days of your life is the day you get your boat and the day you sell your boat. Right?
Yeah, because a boat is a bottomless pit. You're always having to maintain that thing.
That's why you should get one. You got a lot of money, dude.
Because I don't have enough stuff to do.
How many
Hey, well,
times?
look, Uncle Chico says a fishing show with the both of us would be great. The only bad thing about taking Michael fishing, what he's not telling you is that I would have to bait his hook.
Dude, I have been fishing. I used to fish as a kid all the time. I've been out on the ocean numerous times fishing. That would not happen. You could take the fish off the hook for me, though. I'd appreciate that.
Well, look, these were some really big fish, and I cut the video short, but we had to gaff them to bring them in. Look, they were monster fish. I had more fun than anything. But anyway, hey, so what are we talking about today?
I don't know. I just thought we were going to go with this fish theme.
I know it.
I can do it.
We might have to do it. Hey, you and I might have to go fishing, and we might have to do a whole where is the best place to go catch fish on one of our videos, right?
Oh, I don't know. Costa Rica's got so many positives about it. And one is it's 750 miles of beaches, and so that's a lot of ocean out there on both sides of Costa Rica, and a lot of fish out there, man. A lot of people fishing. So,
I mean, there's so many good things. But anyway, so today we are actually talking about, hey, what's the possibility? Hey, look, we already know Mike lives very cheap. He is definitely living the Pura Vida life. And it's really, when you come to Costa Rica, it's all about your lifestyle. Both Mike and I, we hate to hear people say how expensive it is. Well, if it's expensive to you, it's only because you choose to live expensive. You can buy cheap properties, and that's the number one mistake I think a ton of people did, Mike. And tell me if you agree. Years ago when so many people were coming here, they were throwing around so much cash, and they were buying these expensive places that they really could have got for less than half. But they were just throwing that money around, and it created a boom in Costa Rica, right? But
yeah. I just want to say something as like a disclaimer. A lot of people that maybe watch my videos or follow knows that we started a real estate channel a couple times. I just want to let everybody know, unfortunately, I have nothing to do with that anymore, even though it looks like I do, because we filmed a bunch of properties a few months ago. The reason, just really quick without getting into it, D'Angelo and I just can't get on the same page. That's all that is. That's our own fault. So I don't want anybody to think that whatever I say in this hour is trying to get them to buy anything, like go to my channel or look at the properties there. So I have no agenda on whatever I'm about to say about real estate and property. So, yeah, the boom started back. Tamarindo was the first one. Tamarindo was the first place everybody bought into because of that surfing movie, and everybody's buying condos. And even back before 2008, if you remember, Tamarindo, I believe, was #1 in the world for real estate. They were selling millions of dollars worth of property before 2000, a few years before 2008. You know what? So yes, that kind of started some booms way back and again before 2008. But I don't know, man. People do not understand how property works here because they're looking in the wrong places. They're looking in the wrong places.
Hey, I agree. If you know the right place to look, which we're going to be talking about, you can most definitely get some phenomenal deals. Matter of fact, this week I went out to, this was a couple of retreats ago back in June. We had a guy that came in, and while he, after the retreat, he stayed a little bit longer to look at other properties. And so he asked, he's like, Alan, would you come along and look at this property here that I'm looking at and give me your opinions on whether you think it would be a good piece of property based on my objectives and goals on what I want to do? So that's actually what I did. I went and looked at it. And so, based on what he wanted to do, I told him, hey, I think this would be a great place. Obviously, look at other places. And long story short, he ended up buying that piece of property. And I went out there again this past week because now he's looking at building it. And so, he's actually, asking for some consultation to, okay, where should I build, different things like that. And so I went out there and looked at it. But my point is in this whole thing is that this guy ended up buying a piece of property that was not super remote at all. I mean, it's like 30 minutes from the center of town, yet it's still up in the mountains where he can enjoy some phenomenal mountain views. So now he's got these phenomenal mountain views. He actually has water running off the edge of his property. He does have a small spring in the middle of his property, but here's the deal. And because Mike, I'm going to ask you to guess, and I'll ask these other people. He got about 15 acres of property. It's not like super remote. You can drive right up to it. 30 minutes from town. 15 acres of property. Folks, put in the chat right there. How much do you think he paid for this 15 acres of property? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Give him a minute there, Michael. What do you think this guy paid for 15 acres of property? So he got 5 hectares. 5 hectares, 1 hectare is like 2.4 acres. Okay, so he got right at 15 acres. So what do you think? Randall's saying...
I'm sorry, where was it?
Now, this is in San Isidro, or, in San Isidro, Paris Zeledon. And it's the second fastest and largest growing area in Costa Rica outside of San Jose. So 15 acres. Bill says 250,000. Lewis is saying 20,000. Randall's like 45,000. Historic Moments, 125,000. What do you guys think he paid for this 5 hectares of property, about 15 acres? What do you think, Mike?
I would be in the ballpark where Keith, maybe Historical Metals is. I'd probably be around 150, 160. Okay.
So all good guesses, but if you know where to look and you're not in a hurry, this guy paid only a little bit over $100,000 for this piece of property.
Yeah, let's go back. Let's start off with some mistakes first, because I think the internet. When we did start our real estate channel, people just don't know where to look. So they look on the internet. They're looking at Century 21. They're looking at all those types of sites. Every site that has been set up in Costa Rica selling real estate for the last 25 years is selling high-ended priced properties. That's what they put on there. They don't make any money when they give you a good deal. So everything's condo by the beach, just 5 minutes from the beach, a big house on the mountains overlooking the beaches of Tamarindo or the beaches of this or the beaches of that. And if you don't know Costa Rica, you only know a few names. You know Uvita, you know Samara, you know Tamarindo.
You know Jaco.
Yeah, Manuel Antonio. So you don't really know where to look. So you think the places are there. That's where everybody's going. Hey, that's where everybody is. That's where the gringos go. That's where they buy. Yeah, they do buy there, and it puts the prices through the roof. So
exactly.
And the problem with that is, so you're in your mind, you're going, well, it's expensive. It's expensive, and it is. It's freaking ridiculous. It can be ridiculous. So I would, that's probably one of the bigger mistakes is people just don't know where to look to help somebody find the property. So we can get into like, do you need a real estate agent? Do you need a real estate lawyer? Because there are some issues when you're looking at land by yourself. There's a lot of things to consider. But the biggest mistake people make when they don't know Costa Rica, they're just looking in like 6 places.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it's exactly what you're saying. They go into all of the popular terms, all the popular places they hear, but it's like, take a look at what, Ron DeKay and Michael said. Well, they got 2.5 hectares. They paid $40,000. Well, guess what? That's kind of in the ballpark. This guy had a little over 5 hectares and paid just a little over 100,000. See, so you can get phenomenal deals, but it's like, you got to take your time, right? Now, I almost always say, if you're looking for a great deal, well, then don't go see a realtor, okay? Because most of the time, it's like you said, a realtor makes money on commission, and the more expensive the property, then the more they're going to make. Now, while I will say that this guy got a good deal on his property, he would have gotten even a better deal if he hadn't have gone through a realtor, but then he might have never even found it. So the people that were selling this property, the Ticos that sold it, they actually was smart enough to go to a realtor, and that realtor put it up there. And I'm sure, possibly the realtor said, they probably asked, well, what's a good price? We don't know what a good price is. And I'm sure the realtor bumped it up a little bit. So, but still, he got a phenomenal deal. Okay. But the problem is, Costa Rica is for sale. Everything in Costa Rica is for sale. And most Ticos don't go to a realtor because they don't want to pay a commission on their property. And that's the reason there's so many properties for sale and properties that never sell because they don't go to a realtor. So there's pros and cons of having a realtor. Realtor is going to go through there and make sure it has a title and a lot of other stuff. Okay. But you still need to do your due diligence, even if you go through a realtor. But to find great properties, you need to try to find these properties before a realtor does, and then you can get some phenomenal deals.
Really, most realtors do not sell properties in remote areas. I'm not saying you can't find them. Most real estate agents, to be honest with you, I do not like them. They're right up there with shady lawyers and bad cab drivers. I don't like them. They have greed written all over their face. I have dealt with a lot of them. Some of them, my friends, I don't know what it is. They cannot help themselves. They cannot help themselves from going, well, he doesn't really know, so let's just tack on, 15,000 on that. They just cannot help them. I used to recommend real estate people, and it saddens me that they cannot. I don't know what it is. So my point of saying that is, most real estate agents focus on higher end real estate. They know that every gringo out there is not going 5 miles outside of Upala. Do you know where Upala is? Do you know where Watuso is? Do you know where Chichago is? Most people, a lot of you do. I know some of you do, but most people looking in Costa Rica have no idea where these places are. And you wouldn't look there. So you're getting a real estate agent that's already high end. He's going to take you to the places where nothing's wrong with the capitalist market where they're out looking for money, but I don't know if they always have really your best interest in play. Maybe a little. I mean, I love Matt. My friend Tamarindo Matt, he's a real estate agent. I do trust him. I do like him, but I'm just saying most of them to me are just a sketchy bunch of ugh.
Oh, you're right. Well, it's like, I went out there with this guy to look at his property and give him a consultation on it. And so we met the realtor, and of course I'm already in defense mode because I'm expecting this realtor to just be pushing this property on him, pushing it on him. Well, this realtor, she was very laid back. She never pushed anything on him. And of course, I was there walking along with him, and I'm telling him, you know, all my opinion of everything. And this realtor seemed like she was very knowledgeable, not pushy. And I'm sure she probably raised the price on this. I'm sure the Tico's probably, you know, in my opinion, he probably could have got it for $75,000 if he could have found it before the realtor did. But my point is that you know, you're absolutely right. But this lady did seem really nice. But I 100% agree. Most of them just can't help themselves. They're like, oh man, look, I know gringos, they don't know any better. And hey, we can bump this up 25,000, 50,000, 100,000, and let's let them kind of work their way down. And well, so you're absolutely right.
A couple of things I also want to add. Doug brought up a good point. Most real estate people don't like to sell raw land, and there's a lot of land for sale. You're totally right, Alan. Everything is for sale here, and a lot of that reason is because they're land rich and cash poor, especially after COVID. A lot of even families in my town that own 7 families own half this, you know, area, you know, but everyone's got land. Everyone's family members, brothers, uncles owns 15 hectares apiece, you know, but they don't have any cash. They don't have any cash. So COVID hit them hard here, like it did in a lot of parts of the world. So they're very cash poor. And to your other point, if you have time, if you're going to be in Costa Rica and it's really on your map, I mean, it's conducive to take your time and roam around the country, because those say Bende might be 10 miles outside. No real estate agents even looking at that. And I do still believe that you should have a local make that call for you. A trusted local should make the call on the sign. How much is this land I'm looking at? If you call them, I don't care how good your Spanish is. Well, I mean, there's exceptions, but they're going to know you're gringo, and it's already $100,000 more. It just
absolutely.
Is. You have to have a Tico make that initial call, a trusted
absolutely.
Tico. Because unfortunately, even that trusted Tico will talk to the person in Spanish going, hey man, I got this dude, you're going to hook me up, right? You're going to say this, right? You got to watch that too, unfortunately. But you want to trust a Tico to make that call. But there is land. It's every freaking where. I don't know why people look at the same 6 places, 7 places, 8 places. It's unbelievable.
I mean, you're 100% right. But I mean, you nailed it, right? I always say, get a Tico to call for you. You get any old Tico to call, you're going to do exactly what you said. But I do have a very trusted Tico, and I tell them, look, I want you to call and pretend like you're interested in the land, okay? And I try to be there when he calls. And, you know, I only know a tiny bit of Spanish. You might not know anything. But if you're there when he calls, you know, once you build a relationship with that person, and he's well trusted, then it's not a problem. But I like to be there to listen so that, you know, I can hear, is he trying to get that inside hookup, or is he really a trusted friend?
This is where I like to play my bad Spanish. I know enough to know you're fucking around.
That's right.
I heard a couple words there, dude. I heard a couple words. I know what you're doing. But anyway, the land stuff here, there's so much you know, and every piece of land, at least around here, and I know there's some people on here that are from Chichagua that, you know, bought land cheap, man. You can find waterfalls. I do not mean just little things going over rock. I mean waterfalls. I mean rivers going through your property, mountains here, vistas here, pasture over here, and it's like $60,000. Yeah, and it's like, what? Now, maybe not the real estate agent, Alan, but you're going to need a real estate lawyer. You're going to need somebody. That due diligence thing is real. And if you don't know what you're doing, you do not want to learn that one the hard way. So this is where let's plug the relocation retreat in there real quick, Alan, because this is where the contacts matter. You think all real estate lawyers are just like real estate agents. They're little bitches too, and they will take your money as well. So you better make sure. But we have another relocation retreat coming up, Alan. We do. It's filling up fast, Alan.
Fast.
if Costa Rica's on your radar, or maybe you want a crash course learning about Costa Rica, this relocation retreat might be for you. The good, the bad, the ugly of living in Costa Rica. It's a 6-7 day event. We love to see you there. We love to talk to you. We're not trying to sell you. Matter of fact, if you decide at the very end that Costa Rica is not for you, we did our job.
Absolutely. Because, hey, we're not, I don't benefit. Michael doesn't benefit if you decide to move to Costa Rica. Matter of fact, Rebecca was just saying, man, this is such a beautiful place. We're going to have to stop telling people about it because we don't want a whole bunch of gringos moving into our spot.
Right. So guys, we give, we don't get the same credit. So if the relocation retreat is on your radar and you do want to sign up, you can go to my page and sign up if you want to give me the credit for this sale, or you can go to Alan's site and give him the credit if that's who you want to buy from him. So just so you guys know, but we would love to see you there. But I got to tell you, it is kind of fun to say you better get on it because these are selling out, and there's still
these are selling fast.
It's another 2.5 months before we're almost sold out of it.
Yeah, and so it is, and look, it's like Michael said, worst case scenario, you're going to have a vacation of a lifetime because you're not just sitting in a classroom. We're doing all kind of things, and we're going on all kind of tours. But hey, we are having fun. But back to that whole real estate thing, you're absolutely right. Now, to get those phenomenal deals, it's going to take you a lot longer than if you just go see a realtor. Because look, my first piece of property that I bought, or I tried to buy, I found a guy, he was going to sell me that piece of property. I had the real estate, my attorney, trusted attorney, and I'll have her link in the description below. I had my attorney check. Well, guess what? Found out in no time flat, he doesn't even own the property. He was squatting on the property, but he was happy to sell me a piece of it.
Yeah, the scams. I mean, you hear about the squatter scams and the scams, the real estate lawyer scams. That's why it's very important. That's why we started talking about the relocation, is because of contacts. You need to make sure you use a word of mouth type of real estate lawyer, not just anybody you found on the internet. I don't care how good their site is. I don't care what they say. You need recommendations from people that have used them or people that know for a fact who they are. I'm so tired of the sad stories of people getting built out of thousands and life savings, freaking savings. And guess what's even worse? Try to get your money back. You get a lawyer down here to fight that, you'll be dead first, and another $1 million out of your pocket.
Absolutely.
The number one thing you do not want to do here is get a lawyer. You almost better cut it. I got ripped off. I'm just going to cut it off here, because now you get a lawyer, and I'm telling you, I don't care how good you think your case is, it's going to last forever. And probably and it's probably not even going to be the outcome you want. People don't understand that. But, we all know lawyers are shitty, most of them, from all around the world. And I'm telling you, if you start a lawsuit here, be prepared. You better have a deep, deep pocket.
And look, let me tell you, because you and I say it all the time, you have no recourse. And it's kind of like you say, oh, I'm the exception. I'm going to go talk to an attorney. And every single attorney you talk to will say, oh, yeah, you got a good case. And I can win this case for you. And we'll start with $10,000. And then you'll go 2 or 3 months. I got to have another $10,000. And you go 3 or 4 or 5 another year. Oh, well, we got to have another 10,000. You will be way over your head, and you'll never, ever see the end of that case, because the wheels of justice in Costa Rica move slower than a sloth.
Yeah, because the lawyers wanted to. After that third $10,000, see if you can get him on the phone for 6 months until he wants another 10. He's not going to. They're not going to take your calls. They're going to go, oh, it takes some time. They're going to string you along like the fish that you caught this yesterday. I'm telling you, that's why it's so important to start off right. You've got to start off right. You have to do your due diligence. Can I get electric on here? Does it have water? Is the land really the land? Is it really this big area? What do I got to do to make sure this is true? Does this person even own this piece of land?
Absolutely. And take a look at what Pamela Till said. Pamela was at one of our retreats, and she said the contacts alone were amazing. We would sign up for another retreat just for that. Okay, Pamela, go to my description and go to my link and sign up.
Oh, she is my friend. my friend, not your friend.
Anyway. So, but look, we talked about how you can find those cheaper properties, but we have to say this disclaimer. While my buddy got this amazing deal on the property, he will have to spend a little bit more money because there's not an adequate road there. There is an old dirt road, so he'll have to spend some money to build a road up there to where he wants to build his house. So he'll have to spend a little bit more money for that. He'll have to, so when you do find these properties in these kind of, and it's not super remote, but it's off the beaten path. So if you find a piece of property off the beaten path, well, you're probably going to need somebody like me to help you get the infrastructure in. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm helping him go out there and put the water in so he has the water off of his property. I'm supervising so that when they put the road in, they do it right. It's those kind of things you have to understand. Yeah, you can get a great deal on a piece of property, but depending on where it's at, you might have to, run electricity to it or get a solar system. Or maybe in his case, he's going to have hydroelectric coming right off the river. So you do need to keep in mind, you can get some great deals. However, it's not like a real estate person saying, oh, here's a perfect piece of property. It's got blacktop. It's already got electricity. It's already got water. It's already got blah, 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 blah. Well, you'll get great deals, but you will have to spend a little bit more money putting in the infrastructure so that you can make it right. But the beauty of that is that you get to put it in the way you want. If you don't want electricity lines going over there, bury your electricity lines. So you can do all kinds of things to make it great.
Yeah, but now that permaculture and off-the-grid living is getting big, just put it in perspective. So you go to the condo by the beach, $750,000. I'm telling you, 10 minutes from here, I could find you 200 acres. You could buy half of Costa Rica. You can really get a very nice chunk of land that you can't even see all your land. You can't even see it. And it's probably got 4 waterfalls on it and 3 rivers. Now you're right. There is the infrastructure, things you have to think, or to think about. But if you only got that, 100 acres for $175,000, you got another $600,000 to play with.
Absolutely. And, I kind of debate whether I should say this or not. But the more remote you go, I'm probably more remote than anybody in Costa Rica as far as a gringo living in a remote area. Okay. And I won't give you the exact numbers, but I will tell you that the property I'm living on, I don't own, right? But I'm living on this property. I've leased a big portion of it. But where I live at, the owner has right at 1,000 acres. And I can tell you that right at 1,000 acres in the mountains, and let me point out that even though it's 1,000 acres, really he probably only has about maybe 10 or 20 acres that's usable property. The rest is up and down beautiful waterfalls. It's probably got 100 waterfalls on it, beautiful trails and stuff like that. So buildable, he probably has maybe 20 acres buildable property. But for that 1,000 acres, he spent under $200,000 for that 1,000 acres. And
most people never know that.
That's right.
I told this story before, but I just wanted to just tell it real quick. So when we started our real estate channel, the guy we were using, our real estate dude, was taking us around. And it was 20 minutes away where some of these people live in Chichagua, outside of Chichagua or San Ysidro. There's a million San Ysidros, by the way, here in Costa Rica. But I would be actually filming acre of land, a hectare, something like that, backed up by a river, a house, nice house, wraparound Portico style, but nice, not like my house, piece of shit, but a nice Tico style, 3-bedroom, big family room, big kitchen. In the back had another guy raised canaries, had a big, but it could be an Airbnb because it was plumbed for water, had a plantain garden off. And I was walking around filming. I was like, man, how much is this? How much is he selling this for? $120,000, Alan. $120,000. 2 structures, a hectare of land, backed up by a river you can actually swim in. Everything, fruit trees. The house was nice. Bodega, another house you could have made into an Airbnb. 120 was the starting price.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
And it kept happening. Every time I was filming, I'd be like, how much are they selling this for? How much? What's this? 175, 140, 220. I'd just be like, are you freaking kidding me, man? If I had the money, I'd go, give me two. Give me two.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And people just don't realize that. They don't know that. Yes, it takes you longer. Yes, you might have to put in the infrastructure. And, here's historic metals brings up a good point. Got a creek up, you got to be 30 meters back from it. And so 2 creeks. Okay. So anyway, yes, you can't build right on a creek. You can't clear the trees right on a creek. Why would you want to do that? Okay. But so there are things to protect the environment. Okay. And so you do need to know all those things. So when you do buy a piece of property that's next to a creek, obviously, if you're going somewhere, I always say the perfect size piece of property is a hectare. If you buy 1 hectare of property, you could practically build in the middle of that hectare, and then you can really control your environment. And, I say that again and again and again. The most important thing about really enjoying life in Costa Rica is when you can control your environment. If you live on 1 acre and you got bad neighbors on the left and the right, you can't control your environment. You got to listen to the stinking dogs howling all night. You got to listen to the neighbor who plays his music up loud. But if you got a hectare of land, you can build in the middle of that, and you don't have neighbors. But if you build even partially remote, it gets even better. It gets tranquil. It gets quiet. So it is important that you got to understand that you can't build on the river or on the creek. But hey, that's good news for you.
Now, damn it, I want to go back to this creek. I'm telling you, if you're cutting trees down next to the creek, I want to come after you. What the hell are you doing? Don't do that. And you got to watch what trees you cut down here. We all know those stories. That's a whole nother video. But anyway, there's just a lot of places, and there's land. There's land everywhere. But there's also what I just described. There's also houses on some land. There's all kinds of ways to get property here that I think a lot of people would be surprised that it's very cost effective. I think within a lot of people's budget. You can now, we even put a couple houses on our site that were like $50,000, $40,000, but they were shitty little Tico houses on a small lot, we'll say. So we were putting up those too, because some people now you're not going to get nothing for nothing though. People that think you're just going to get. Well, I'm looking for 100 hectares with a big house for $70,000. That's my budget. Well, shut up.
That ain't happening. And look. Just because you heard me tell you that a guy bought 1,000 acres, for under 200,000, don't think you're going to be able to do the same thing unless you want to be, stinking 100 miles into the mountains like I am. Okay. It's hard. You just don't find those deals anymore, but you can find deals. Now, here's another place, Michael, that Rebecca just came by here and whispered to me. She's like, don't forget to tell them, go to the bank. I go to the bank at Banco Nacional, and I sit down playing stupid musical chairs, but the bank has a lot of properties that they've repossessed. Okay. And so you can get, farmland, you can get houses. And so the bank has repossessed this stuff and they're wanting to turn it. Now, as always, the bank is just as greedy as the realtors, and they're trying to sell it for way too much, but you can haggle with them and you can get good properties that's been repossessed by the bank and get a good deal.
Yeah, the thing is, I think the bottom line we're really trying to say is if you have time, take your time and venture all around wherever you want to be in Costa Rica. Venture all around the area. You will find places that you will not see advertised at Century 21. You will not see them on the internet, and you may not even see them in the bank. They throw up a sign. It's out in the middle of nowhere. So that's the thing. If you have time, what you don't want to do, anybody that says, "Oh, Mike, we got to buy that," it's no, you don't. No, back the fuck up. No, you don't. Slow down, because whatever property you're looking at, there's 100 more better.
Just like it. And look,
100.
While you're saying that, hey, let's point this out. If you ever have a realtor take you somewhere and they're like, this one just came on the market, it might be gone tomorrow, you got to buy it now. run as fast as you can, because this realtor is a piece of crap. Because, and if you have a realtor says, oh, it is a it is a seller's market, man. I mean, it's a seller's market. No, it's not. It's a buyer's market. Every stinking thing is for sale. And that realtor is just trying to con you. So anytime they're trying to push you to buy, you need to leave. If they're telling you that it is a seller's market, you need to leave. Because really, it's like Mike said, don't get in a hurry. Because I promise you, it will be there tomorrow. And look, it's not uncommon when it's on that real estate site, they're asking twice what they'll accept for it. So if they got a piece of property that's $250,000, well, take your time, look around and say, look, I found several pieces of property. I kind of like this one, but you know what? I know you want $200,000 for it. I'll offer you $125,000. They're initially going to say no, but you know what? In about 2 weeks, 30 days, they're going to say, yeah, call him back, because they've already spent that money in their head, and they'll be calling you back because now they've changed their mind and they accept your offer.
Yeah, I think I want to get John Miller. I believe that he is correct. Bank-owned properties are probably going to be the easiest because you're working with a bank. Because I don't know if any of you guys have dealt with escrow and getting your money down here. Oh, my God, that can be a pain in the ass, a total pain. I've gone through that a few times with doing the real estate stuff, and that can be a real problem. But yeah, banks are pretty much the easiest to deal with. Alan, I do want to go over some stuff real quick. Okay, so they are looking at land around, let's say, outside the norm. We'll say, okay, they like this piece of land. Let's say they make their call. Forget the price right now. What do they need to consider? Let's go through a little bit of due diligence when you're actually going to purchase it. Some things that they need to really be thinking about. So due diligence maybe first, some other considerations.
Okay, so the first thing, of course, obviously, is to make sure you have a trusted attorney. Make sure you check the link in the description below, and I'm gonna be sure to have it in my description. I'll be sure to pass it on to Mike, so hopefully he can put it in his. So the most important thing is you have a trusted attorney, because I'm telling you, it is difficult. So you have that attorney, and the very, very first thing that attorney is going to do, obviously, is to make sure that they own that property legitimately and doesn't owe anything on it. But then the most important thing is that you have a water letter. You can't do squat if you don't have a water letter. And that water letter is what you have to have that just says, yes, you can build on this property once you have that, because there's a lot of people that don't know any better. And attorneys that want to rip you off, they will let you buy a piece of property. You don't have a water letter, so now you own this slice of paradise in Costa Rica, but you don't have a water letter, so you can't build on it. Well, guess what? Now you just got a piece of property that all you can do is picnic on.
Yeah. I want to say something about the lawyer. I've been around here too long. You do need a good lawyer, but you almost need to maybe double check their stuff they're doing. I know people that have got a house, and all of a sudden that the last buyer or the last owner hadn't paid electric bill for 10 years. And it's like you can't get anything hooked up. I'm serious. These stories are real. Just because it's a real estate lawyer, they may forget something too. And guess who? And they have no culpability. You can't say, well, you messed that up. She's going to go, sorry. And you can be stuck with things you had no idea. That happens a lot too, where you're moved in and it's like, hey, wait a minute. You can't put electric in. Somebody owes $7,000 on their electric bill for the last 7 years.
And so now you're going to have to go with solar instead, because you can't get something. So, look, Mike, you're
I
right.
would just say, I would just say that, yes, get the lawyer to do all that due diligence, because there's definitely 7, 8 things that need to be done. But it may be good that you do a little bit of your own personal homework, so you can kind of go, hey, I was wondering, did you check on this thing? I just wondering, because I'm telling you, man, that people don't understand. Once this thing gets over to you, you got no recourse, man. You got no recourse, and maybe you pumped all your money into this. This property, maybe a little bit over than you should have, but now you can't get anything started because there's issues. You know,
Well, look, and it's important to mention what John said right here. He says, you ain't lying, Alan. I got a new wacko transplant living across the street that has changed my perspective and thinking about selling my place versus keeping it as an investment property. He's looking forward to some acreage. So look, when you buy a piece of property and if you can't control your environment, look, it's not a piece of cake to sell it. Just because you bought it, you're thinking, oh, well, I bought it, I'll just turn around and sell it. You might not be able to sell it for another 10 stinking years. So it's very important that when you buy a piece of property, you better be able to control your environment. So write that down, folks. If you learn nothing from this video, write down CYE. Control your environment, because once someone moves across the street for you and they got 10 dogs or a 15-year-old kid and they're playing music every weekend, so it's extremely important. Once you buy that, not only do you have no recourse if something is wrong, but look, you get someone moving next door to you, you can't just sell it like that. It's a long time selling that thing.
Yeah, I would think it'd be better to let the grid catch up to you. So it might be a little better to purchase something fairly substantially away from anything and let the grid catch up to you in 25 years. You do not want to get right. If you're looking to do, let's say, permaculture, you want your privacy, all that kind of stuff. You got to be careful because, okay, my partner D'Angelo's got, we call it the mountain house. It's by the volcano. It's on Airbnb. It's a really cute, like, it's not a cabin. It's better than. And it was very privatized, 10 years ago. But now he's getting bummed, man, because now people are building all around him. And we knew it. I mean, we kind of knew it was going to happen. There was really no way out of it. He was trying to purchase some of the land next to his place. But in Fortuna, since it's in Fortuna, it was Tico's selling it, and they had it at just stupid prices. It was a piece of land. I mean, they had it like pre-2008. I don't know what they were thinking, but he couldn't buy it. It was way too expensive. But anyway, so I can attest to that, to be careful of that problem, especially if you don't like the barking dogs. You don't want neighbors walking, past your house every 2 minutes and cars and taxis and buses or whatever else. So I would let the grid catch up to you. Then
absolutely
vice versa.
Yeah. You don't have to be that far away from a good city. Okay. And now today with having the ability to get Starlink, well, guess what? You no longer are you looking into the problem of, well, I want to kind of be a little bit away from town, but geez, you get 1 kilometer from town and the internet sucks. Well, that's true in most places. However, now with Starlink, you can get Starlink, like that. And now you can be wherever you want to, and you can have really good internet. And that's amazing.
Yeah, I also like a lot of the land you can get here is you can have your own natural fences, man. You can have a river on the backside of yourself. You can have a little vista over here that nobody can get down. And you can definitely do some things to privatize your house or make it
absolutely
more discretionary, I guess. But just the land around here with the rolling hills and mountains and rivers and waterfalls and big trees and forest and jungle and prime, all this kind of stuff. You can have natural barriers as well. If you got time to find the right place, you can find it. You can definitely find it.
Yeah. I actually have a video I think is coming out this week, and it's going to be talking about some of these similar things, and where I recommend, in my opinion, is the best place that you should go so that you can find these kind of properties that we're talking about, to where, hey, yeah, you got some good brown or black dirt, so anyway, and I'll be kind of showcasing and talking about this guy's property and showing you some footage on it. So, really, the main thing here is what we've been saying, Michael, is that you can't get in no hurry. You can't have someone say, you got to buy it now, but wait, if you get it now, you got to be careful, find it, do your due diligence, and you will find some phenomenal deals that are just simply unheard of. People don't tell you those deals, and we're telling you.
Yeah, but we've talked about this before, but just to hit it again. And the considerations are, do you need to be around medical services? Do you need to be around a town? Are you going to have to worry about internet or put your own in? Like excuse me, you basically had to do, there's definitely some considerations. If something happens, can you get down the mountain in a timely manner? And maybe you're not in the best of shape. There's all kinds of things, during the rainy season. Are you susceptible to some runoff over here? Or could your house slide over here? So there's a lot of little considerations I think you need to consider when you're looking at property or where you want to live, because although location is, everyone knows location, but it's got to suit your needs, what you're doing.
Well, another thing that you're saying is that, any of these type properties, most cases, you're going to need a 4x4. Okay. Well, guess what? You go buy that property. No one's telling you. And you know what? Most people come down here in the summer, in the dry season, they buy a piece of property. Well, guess what? You come back in the wintertime and now you're crossing a little creek or you're crossing a river. And you're like, how come no one told me that? Well, that's normal. It's not uncommon for you to have to drive across a little bitty river or cross a creek, because in the wintertime, there's so much runoff that there it is. And guess what? You might have to do a little bit of road maintenance. Okay. So, but those are not bad things. Those are all things that are normal and typical. And he didn't tell you about it. Why? Because, well, it's normal. It's normal in Costa Rica.
Yeah. Sometimes nature likes to show you who's in charge. So, and I would even say when you're looking at houses, used houses, you do have what a lot of people never consider is water damage or flooding. You're totally right. If you're looking at that house when it's dry season, they're not telling you that, well, there's a slight hill and water just comes. There's another river.
That's right.
All those things, again, I hate to see people get, caught with their life savings, just given away or burnt. And it's so easy here, but it's also easy doing it right. If you do it right and follow some of these things we chatted about, you can have a good experience or a better experience than most. What you don't want to do is once you got your thing and find out you made the biggest fucking mistake of your life. That's what you
absolutely.
don't want to do.
And then you don't have any more retirement left. You have no more savings left, and you've made
no recourse. And no recourse. That's the thing. It'd be different if you go, well, there's no such thing as an open and shut case, but okay, it's all in writing. This is supposed to happen, whatever. No.
Yeah. And keep in mind, because people ask this question all the time, and I say it every time. Oh, what's the typical price? What is the price per square footage when you're building a house? No, there is no such thing. In the United States, we're used to a realtor going in and giving you comps. Okay, compare your property to this house and this house and this. No. In Costa Rica, there's no such thing as comps. There's no such thing as typical building prices. It's all different depending on where you live, who the contractor is, what kind of house you're building. So there is no normal price to build or buy property in Costa Rica.
Yeah, I wish we could get a couple people. When I was doing the real estate channel, we definitely had, like people buying stuff and building and then asking them about their experience. And almost all of them, I've said this a few times, but almost all of them didn't like the experience. They liked the outcome. They're kind of happy maybe later. But man, the experience of going through whatever they went through to buy their land or to build their property usually has got a lot of nightmares involved in the story. So,
yeah. And, you just, when you do find that property, you got to understand it's going to take time for that due diligence to be done. A realtor says, oh, yeah, you can buy this and in less than 30 days, you can own it. No. If you got a shady attorney, yeah, or a shady realtor, yeah. But to have the proper due diligence, it could take you 60 days or longer just for your attorney to get all of that paperwork in order to make sure that you have a piece of property that you're not going to regret owning. Okay. So it takes time. Well, when it's time to build, well, it can take a while to get your permits. Okay. And then you're like, oh, well, yes, I don't want to have to build because it takes too much time. Okay. I'm going to buy an existing house. Well, let me tell you something. In the United States, You have to disclose that the foundation's cracked. You have to disclose that you got mold problems. In Costa Rica, I don't have to disclose crap, okay? I don't have to tell you that I built my house out of dog crap. I covered it up with some icing, and it looks beautiful right now, but if you were to cut through the middle of it, it's dog crap, okay? I don't have to disclose that. It works for me. The house works, and I sold it to you. What are you complaining about?
Yeah, I mean, I tell people all the time, even the buying land, although you can find great land, but if you don't know what you're doing, I don't know, man. I'd probably go existing personally, or and then go that route and get somebody that you can trust to make sure the house is what they say it is. But if you have literally nothing, you have no construction background, don't know anybody down here, never went to the relocation retreat to get your contacts, and you're like, look at that piece of land. Oh, honey, it's only $90,000. Let's buy it. You're in trouble. You're in trouble.
Yeah. You bet, and it's important. I just can't say it enough that if you don't have the right contacts, I mean, look, I've said it 100 times. If I could go back and tell my younger self what to do in order to save myself mistakes, I'd say, look, Alan, you need to go to one of your own relocation retreats because, number one, they're not going to ever say you anything, and you're going to have all of the contacts so that when you are ready to buy, when you're ready to do this, then you're not going to lose that $30,000 that you're about to lose.
You only lost 30? I did way worse, or I did better. I lost a lot more. Guys, it's almost time. I got to go.
That's right. So, hey, if you got any last minute questions, well, now's the time to ask. Because normally Rebecca and I would be doing a Q&A afterwards, but we're not going to do a Q&A afterwards this week because we were out fishing, spending time, and now I got to pack everything up and head back to my off-the-grid homestead in Costa Rica. So if you got questions, well, now's the time to ask your last-minute questions before we take off.
I have a question, Alan. Can you send some of your fish encomienda to La Fortuna? Just put it on the bus, dude. I'll pick it up.
I tell you what I'm going to do. How about I cook you a fish plate, and you can come to my place, and you can eat supper with me. How about that?
You going to buy a boat? Hey, guys, we want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. We really appreciate you guys and your comments and your feedback and the back and forth. We love it. It really helps us grow. If you could share this with other people maybe interested in Costa Rica, we would really like that as well. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with us. I got to go.
Absolutely. Alan? And look, I can't stress this enough. Michael says it a whole lot. YouTube doesn't really care. And so if you will take the time, even after this podcast, to go beneath our videos, go underneath his video and comment. I don't care if you say the same thing or say something back. Go to my video, comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell because YouTube loves the interaction. They love the engagement. And look, we greatly, greatly appreciate you guys. We take all this time out of our Sunday so that we can educate you, help you. Hey, we just love spending time with you. If there was a pool out here, Mike and I would be sitting around the pool and we'd be talking to you.
All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Alan, I will see you next time, brother.
All right. We'll see you next week. Peace.